Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Final Destination 3, the 2006 movie. So this is the third installment. It's 3 years since the second and 6 since the first. And personally, it is my second favorite movie in the franchise. I absolutely love the first movie. I don't particularly like the second. The fourth, I can't even finish. I'm like 20 minutes in and I had to turn it off for the second time. I'm like, the acting's bad, the CGI is bad, the 3D is bad, the story is bad. I just can't with that movie. I'm going to attempt for a third time, but I don't know if I can make it. And I'm currently right now watching the fifth movie. I took a break to record this. So far, the fifth movie is very pleasant and it's my third favorite. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I have to guess between second and the second and the fifth one. I need to finish it, but so far it's pretty pleasant. I like the callback to the original. You know, it have that same format and everything. The bridge scene was amazing. The gymnastic double bar death was dumb. Whose body's gonna break like that? It literally broke in like 5 or 6 places. And she wasn't even that high up in the air. Seriously. And but so far it's just a pleasant movie, but I don't like the 3D element of it. The 3D mixed with that of the CG is just horrendous. This movie, however, was supposed to be filmed in 3D, but thank God it wasn't, because I hate 3D movies. I always used to try to avoid them back in the day when I used to go to the movie theaters, but when I did go see one, like I went to go see one of the Resident Evil movies in 3D. I barely saw any 3D stuff. So what was the point of me paying $13 just to go see a stinking movie in 3D and it was barely in 3D? But I digress. So after taking a little break, James Wong decided to come back and direct this movie. He was the director of the first movie. And he also wrote this movie. I stated, well, actually, you know, about a week from now, I'm gonna upload the second Final Destination movie. I wasn't pleased with that director or the writers and stuff. Now, when it comes to the director, may he rest in peace. I actually enjoy his family movies. I just didn't like his Final Destination movies. I'm sorry, but the second and the fourth just don't do it for me. Neither does that writer. Now, James has a different writer this time, writing this movie. And I can't even, it's Glenn Morgan. And so, like, he's pretty good, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some things I wish they could have done a little bit differently in this movie. Like, but I do think it's an overall improvement from that of the second. I do like the back to formula thing. I like the high school element of it. You know, I love the main actress who's having like the premonition. She has emotions. She can actually act. That's a problem I had in the second movie. In the second movie, that lead actress, AJ Cook, could not act. The characters, for the most part, are pretty unlikable, kinda like the second. Now that I've kind of like watched both back to back, I still don't like the characters of the second movie. I feel they're not bland. It's just because like, they're annoying and everything. But the ones in here, you know, besides the male lead, they're pretty annoying and everything. The goth couple, I don't like them. I don't like the sister. I can't stand the black guy. And yes, I'm black myself. So it ain't nothing like that. But I just could not stand his, like, you know, his macho behavior crap and everything. The Valley Girls were okay. I just didn't like the way they spoke. But other than that, they were, at least they was nice. But the reason why I do hold this cast a little bit higher than the second cast is because of the connection. They have that connection because they're all high school students and they all know each other and stuff. That was a problem I had in the second movie. Nobody really knew each other. And so they didn't have that type of bond or a reason to protect another person. And the way they just all came together was just kind of odd. But in this movie, I do like the back to formula of them, like, because even in the first one, they knew each other from school, but they didn't really know each other. Like, they wasn't friends. And that's kind of how it is with this one. And so, the movie's not perfect. Like, there are just a little hiccups here and there, but for the most part, it is very enjoyable. I love how the protagonist has premonitions similar to that of Alex in the first movie. I love how the fact that she's trying, or at first, she didn't even believe all this crap what she saw, and she didn't want to believe it was connected to flight like 180. But then later on, with some convincing from her co-star, she came around and she tried to save people. And I like that. The problem with the second movie is that I never understood why she wanted to save those people and she didn't know them. Not only that, but she couldn't even interpret her premonitions very well, and she cost a lot of people their lives and everything. Like, she really had no idea those were her hands driving the van and everything. But anyways, and so the opening scene with the roller coaster was just like amazing. Now, some hiccups I do have with this movie. The characters being unlikable, I said that. The beginning was a little too rushed. I kind of wish they would have leaned us into the whole thing of them being about to graduate, them at this type of carnival type thing. It just all kind of happened really quickly. I do miss that parental authoritative type figure in the movie. Alex had his parents to lean on. And here, does this girl, does Wendy even have parents? I'm wondering, because you never see them in the movie, and it feels like her sister takes care of her. And her sister just has a grumpy attitude and stuff. Even after what she's going through. The girl almost lost her life, and her sister could care less. And her sister almost lost her life, and she could care less. And so, and it's weird. If that was their senior year, then how are both girls seniors and they're not even twins? Anyway, maybe she's really smart or something. Heck, I don't know. But I do miss that parental figure, that adult figure. I do miss adults being skeptical of what these young people are saying, or at least the protagonist. Because you gotta remember they're teenagers, so who's really gonna believe them? And I also miss that cop, FBI detective type thing of them believing that, oh, you caused this accident and blah, 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 blah. And them trying to profess their innocence and them being hunted down by the police, similar to the first and a little bit like the fifth and everything. I do miss that. There's a formula to these movies, and I feel they should adhere to it, but also be different. Also, this movie, I really miss Tony Todd's character of William Bloodworth and everything. I love the fact that he's in all these movies, connecting them and stuff like that, even though this is technically supposed to be a standalone sequel, but it's really not, because they mention the events of the first and the second. So that's not really standalone, in my opinion. But he really adds a certain gravitas to these movies, a mysterious factor that nobody can kind of seem to figure out. Some people think he's death himself, or at least the angel of death, but nobody really knows. I mean, it can't be like traditional death where death touches you and you die, because I think shook somebody's hand in the first movie, I think. I'm not really sure. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But like he just adds this like really mysterious factor to the movie, and it was solely missing. However, he was the voice of the devil on the amusement ride. But I would have preferred to see him. Now, this next little teeny tiny hiccup is something I like and I kinda don't, but for the most part, I do like. And that is a change of formula when it comes to that of the rules and trying to figure out the clues of death. You know how Final Destination likes to do it. They have their rules and everything, and I'm a firm believer in the rules, especially in a franchise. That is something that the second movie kind of differed from when they kind of added a little twist to how the premonitions are and like the clues of like, before you die and everything. And like, how death is like coming for you and stuff. The second movie, I felt like, okay, it was fine that, they reversed the order of death because it was different from the first. All right, I'm cool with that. But then in the third one, they did something a little bit different. I don't really know how I feel about this, only because, like, okay, so here's the thing, right? Once again, you have a big accident. It's a roller coaster accident. And the reason why they have a roller coaster accident is because of something that happened in 2003 at Disneyland. It was the Big Thunder Mountain like ride, and there was like, a big accident. So New Line Cinema and all them was all told, like the director, yeah, do something like that. And so they did. And so like it's your typical format of somebody's getting like weird feelings. There's a big accident. They see everybody died and they like kind of snap back into it and they realize, holy crap, I just like saw us all dying. We all need to get off. Typical, that's what they do in every movie. And like in the first one, everything happened so fast you don't know the order in which everybody died. In the second one, they map out the order for you, and that was kind of neat. Then in the third one, they went back to the formula of everything happening really fast. And normally in the movies, something would happen where they would figure out, wait a minute, this is like the order in which everybody was gonna die. So that's how we gonna know who's gonna die next. And like we have to intervene. Standard, you know what I'm saying? And so there's always a new way of figuring it out. That's one thing I like. And this movie didn't really do that. There was no pipeline explosion, no gas line explosion, like nobody remembering how somebody died. And then they added the element of photographs. And that's the part I don't really know if I truly like or not. Because it's really interesting because it's kind of like, you have this photograph, and so when I was watching it, I'm just like, she was figuring something out. Like, what the heck is she figuring out? Because I don't see what the heck she's talking about. And so she goes to save this one person, and then when that one person, well, no, she doesn't go to save that one person. I think she just goes somewhere. Wendy does, and the dude is with her. And so, like, the perverted dude, I forget his name. Frankie, maybe that's it. And like that dude was so perverted, and he was older and stuff, and there was whatever. Anyway, he died at the drive-through, and that was a pretty cool death. I appreciate James going back to how he has death interpreted. Like when I've said this before. A week from now you will hear it. It's kind of like a dance he does, a rhythmic dance. I like how the clues leading up to somebody about to die happens like very slowly. I like seeing things rattle around. I like seeing, you get the expression of like the premonitionist and everything. Like it's a certain way he does it that was so much better than the second, because in the second everything happened so quickly. And so Frankie dies and everything. And when she looks at the photograph, she realizes there was like this propeller thing buzzing in his head that killed him. And then it's a fan that's like behind him in the photograph. So the clues of how you're going to die are in the photograph. Not necessarily the path of who's gonna die next, but just like, the clues are in the photograph. I think that's really neat and intriguing. And technically, it doesn't break the rules and everything because, like, the death will still come get you at the pattern of which, you're gonna die. But it does seem a little hokey that everything that's in that photograph, something's gonna happen and kill you that way. It's different, it's fresh, and it keeps it reinvigorated and stuff, but it's just so different from all the other movies. However, I do wonder if they were to keep the traditional like formula and not add this element, would we get bored? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. Like after the third movie, you would tend to get like a little bored with like the formula and everything after a while. So in a way, they keep they kind of don't keep the formula because you still don't know what path everybody's gonna die in. Is they just say, oh, from whoever sat in what seat and whoever photograph I took first and all this other stuff. But it's like other than that, you just have to look at the stuff and try to interpret what kind of objects are in the picture that's gonna like kill you. Because in the fifth one, like so far, like I'm up to the massage parlor part where the guy's getting the massage, and so far it's still like formula and everything of, and no photographs, and I'm not bored. I'm still intrigued, but I do wonder because this would have been 6 years after the original. People probably would have got bored. Now, this was intended to actually be the last movie in a trilogy and everything. But it made a lot of money, and so they made that god awful fourth movie and stuff. It had a budget of about 23 million, made about 118.9 million and stuff. It had mixed to positive reviews, but for the most part, people really enjoy it. A lot of people on Reddit, they can't seem to make up their mind. Like there are some people who say this is better than the second, and then there are some that say this is better than the first. I think the first is still the OG, and this one is like the second best and everything. I just appreciate more that back to formula. I miss them trying to like cleverly try to figure out like, the clues of how people gonna die and like try to save them. Like I really, really appreciate that because the deaths are like really fresh and really cool. Like, that's the one thing I've always appreciated about this franchise is that the deaths are like amazing and stuff. And I remember when I first watched this, it was on television. I don't remember where I was at, but I remember seeing this on TV, and I didn't know it was Final Destination at first until, like, I read the TV guide thing that was on the TV, and I'm all like, oh crap, this is the new Final Destination. And I was really impressed by what they did and everything. Because I was afraid because I didn't like the second one. And so I was afraid by the third one, it just wouldn't be that great, and it would just be another lame sequel. And, that's one thing that caused me not to watch the fourth or the fifth one until actually just now. And I'm recording this in February. So I'm just now watching like the fourth and the fifth one. Well, at least the fifth one. I just can't get through that fourth one and everything. Now, Jeremy Reddick, who wrote the first one and outlined the story for the second one, did not come back for this one for some bizarre reason. Why? I'm not sure, but he did give creative credit for it because he created the Bloodworth character. So when it comes to that of the characters themselves, Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays Wendy. She is our main lead, and she is the one who is getting the premonitions, and she's the one who took all the photographs at the little carnival thing. And she was amazing in this movie, reminded me so much of Alex, had so much personality, had so many expressions on her face. I knew she was a good actress when I saw her in Live Free, Die Hard. And she reminded me so much of Alex, and thank God she didn't remind me nothing of Kimberly. Kimberly is one of the main reasons why I didn't like the second. It's just she did not do it for me at all. And so she's the one having, like I said, for all the premonitions and like on the amusement ride. And the amusement ride took 3 months to film. They took 2 weeks to film the actual ride part and everything else. And it just took so long to do that and stuff. Once again, they use practical and CGI effects. And I love it. When they went all CG in the fourth movie, that was just disgusting. Like, I hated the way that looked so much. And like I said, when they added the 3D to it, it was just horrendous. So she lost her friend and her boyfriend on the amusement ride. And so her friend is Carrie, and she's played by Gina Holden. And I remember Gina from Legend of the Seeker. I remember her from R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. And so she doesn't live that long. I really don't know too much about her personality, but her boyfriend is actually Kevin, played by Ryan Merriman. And it's either Merriman or Merman. And I think it's Merriman. And so I remember him from Pretty Little Liars. He was Ian, and he was also in Luck of the Irish on Disney Channel original movie I've never seen before. But I'm kind of curious to see it now, only because I've always seen the trailer and I'm kind of curious, you know? And so he was Carrie's boyfriend, but he's acting like a love interest to Wendy for some reason. He keeps bugging her and everything, and she doesn't want nothing to do with him, talking about like, I barely know you if it wasn't for Carrie. And he's the one who actually fills her in about the whole Flight 180 and that car pileup in the second movie, talking about what happened to us is very similar to what happened to them, and what you see and everything. And so he's the one who fills in it for her, all the whole death thing and the pattern and how to cheat death because Bloodworth isn't there. And he's a pretty good second lead. I like him a whole lot more than the other guy from the second movie and stuff. And so, he has like, his death scene that was supposed to be like, flashing his eye, and he was supposed to have like fireworks and stuff, but somebody intervened and saved him and stuff like that. Julie is the sister, and I cannot stand her. She's just rude and arrogant, and she could care less about all of them surviving death, and she sees her sister is upset, but she doesn't really care. Now, in the photograph, there was a person's hand who was flipping the camera off, and all they saw was a charm bracelet on their wrist, and they didn't know who it was until all of a sudden Wendy wakes up and realizes, oh wait, that's the one my grandmother gave my sister. So they try to track her down and try to save her life, but she's being so arrogant and won't let Kevin save her, and she's just like running from him, and he's like security and everything. She's an annoying character, and I just cannot stand her. And I hate to God when people just flip off cameras and stuff, like they so cool and everything. Now, Julie has an Asian friend. What's her name? I don't know. What she does? I don't know. What's her personality like? I don't know. Basically, she has less than 20 seconds of screen time, but she was sitting next to Julie when she got off like the amusement ride, and she gets impaled very quickly. She barely even says anything in the movie. I am happy they finally have added an Asian character to this franchise. It just sucks she doesn't do absolutely nothing. Racist Hollywood. Ashley and Ashlyn, they are the Valley girls. They talk very annoying, but they're super nice. And when what's her name saved their life, they gave her their phone number, but they said they had hers, and I don't know how. And so they're barely in the movie. And they go to get like tans and stuff, and they actually get topless and stuff. And because in the first three movies, there's always a topless scene. In the first one, there was like the Playboy magazine. In the second, that one lady flashed them while driving, and now they're the third. And so their death was insanely brutal and everything. My God. It reminds me of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer with Jennifer Love Hewitt's character in the tanning bed. I mean, James outdid himself with this tanning bed scene. That was one of the best deaths I've ever seen in a movie. They were just getting electrocuted and burnt and screaming and hollering, the lights are flickering. It was intense. Now, Alex, with a Z at the end, Alex Johnson, she plays Aaron. She's the golf girlfriend to that I think his name is Ian. And so, like, I remember her from Disney Channel, third season, So Weird. She was Saturn Girl in Smallville. She was in this movie about twins that I reviewed a long time ago. I think it's called The Other Girl with My Face. And she mostly sings now and really doesn't act. And she has a small part. She's just like, doesn't believe, the two leads when they're trying to save her. And she just gets impaled with like a nail gun in like the coolest way and everything. Because originally it was supposed to be her boyfriend that died, but like somebody intervened and she took the brunt of it. Texas Battle plays Lewis. And yes, his real name is Texas Battle. That's kind of cool. And so, like, this dude got on my nerves and everything. I appreciate they added another black character to the franchise. Thank God for that. But so far, there are two black, like, leads in the franchise for the second and the third movie. Just get on my nerves. I stated a week from now, like T.C. Carson, who was in the second movie, his character was like three stereotypes in one. First, he was like the smooth black guy with the swagger. Then he was like, the angry black guy. And then he was like the crazy black guy who whips out a gun and everything. And that just got on my nerve. But you'll hear about that a week from now. But this dude, he's a mix of Billy and Carter. Basically, he's a jock like Billy, and he has an attitude like Carter, and he's so stubborn and just like mean and rude, and so I couldn't wait for him to die. And everything. I was just like, come on, get rid of this dude already. Get rid of this dude already. Because I hate how they wrote him, man. But thank God. For the fifth movie, they have a really well-mannered black dude, and in the fourth one, so far, it seems like there's a good black dude in that too. Because I hate when they write like black characters that act like idiots and fools and stereotypes and stuff. And last is Ian McKinley, and he's played by Chris Lynchy, and I think it's Lynchy, or Limchi or something like that. I remember him from R.L. Stein's Goosebumps, and it's cool because they got two former R.L. Stein stars on this movie, and so like Wendy thinks he's gonna kill her. See, he's pissed about Aaron dying, and so he takes it out on Wendy. He starts like chasing her down with the car and everything, and then he sees her at the carnival and starts coming towards her and harassing her and stuff. She thinks that's who's gonna kill her because the only picture with her in it is her next to a guy. I think it might be her boyfriend, but the face is blurred, and she's wearing a shirt that says McKinney on there. And so, like, she doesn't know how she's gonna die, but she just assumes that this faceless person is gonna kill her. So he starts like acting like a butthead and trying to like attack, and then later on he dies because of death. And then the craziest thing happened that still is cool and pisses me off today. that massive twist ending. So about 6 weeks have passed, and they're on the subway train, and she's in college. She has a roommate talking to, I guess, her roommate's boyfriend, and then all of a sudden, all the survivors, her sister and that of Kevin, are mysteriously on the subway train. She starts to freak out and wondering what the heck is going on. But when she sees Kevin, she's acting like Kevin's like an antagonist and stuff like that. So I'm like, wait, is he the blurred face and the thing gonna kill her or something? But then she starts to have another massive premonition. And the subway train goes crazy and kills everybody on there except for her. She's the only survivor and she's like crawling around. And there's another subway train coming in her direction and she snaps out of it. Two massive wreck I can't talk premonitions in one movie. That's awesome. They've never done that before. You can tell this was gonna be the last movie in a trilogy because they wanted to go all out with having two massive wreck premonitions and stuff. So she tells them, and so they have to get off the subway train. Only problem is the emergency stop thing will not work. And then here comes the credits. So you don't know if they lived or if they died and everything. And it just ends just like that. I'm like, no, we have to see this and everything. But alas, we don't know their fate. So Kimberly and the cop guy were supposed to return for this movie, but one of them couldn't make it, so they decided to write both of them out. I don't know why. I mean, they did. I mean, when the Alex actor couldn't make it, they brought back Claire and everything. So they could have done that here. But there's like something in the DVD that said they died in a wood chipper, but that's not canon. Now on the DVD, it's interesting. If you have the widescreen version, they have a choose your death scenario, whether a character within the movie gets to live or die. It's interactive. And some people like that. I liked it when it was on the Telltale games, when I got to watch it. But personally, I prefer for somebody to write everything out and just let me watch and enjoy. I don't like all these different versions of like a movie because then nothing's really canon. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of that second Batman Under the Red Hood movie, where the second one was interactive and stuff, and I just didn't like that. But I can understand why that's like, you know, happy, make some people happy. But all in all, I think this was a really good movie. At times, the writing was rushed. I feel like, you know, the beginning was slightly rushed. I wish they would have had the parental figures. The third act at the carnival felt very rushed and everything. It was like death was just coming for everybody. And at the same time, one after another, and couldn't get nobody except for like Ian and stuff. And the one Asian girl. And, you know, then when Death couldn't get them there, Death's like, screw this, I'm gonna get you 6 weeks from now. And everything. And just all of them like, you know, dying all at once and everything. And normally Death doesn't try to take everybody one after another. It takes its time. But this was supposed to be the ending, you know what I'm saying? But of course, they made 2 more sequels. After the 5th one, they just decided to stop. And I think it took 10 years later for them to now make a 6th installment that's coming out this May. Which I have no idea if I'm gonna watch or not because it's February and May has not come yet. Even though I'm uploading this in October. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.